So let's look at what kind of business is investable through equity. You can finance your company through grants, you can finance your company through loans, you can finance your company through equity, which is what most of you would want to do. I'm going to leave this on the screen and await some questions. Some of it is very obvious, but let me know if something is not very obvious. I will walk through it. So if your business requires working capital, you're better off going to a bank and getting a loan from them. Why do you want to use equity against money for something which is not necessarily adding direct value or creating an intellectual property, something which, or an asset which will stay for a long time? Working capital doesn't go against an asset. Yeah? Generally, VCs don't look to invest in a proprietorship. Okay, we're not very fond of organizations where it's really a family business or a lifestyle business and those kinds. So those businesses are not something that we look at. Yeah, and obviously the key one, and I'm going to spend some time on discussing this one, is the promoter shareholding being very, very low. Yeah, so the promoter shareholding being low results in a company which will not necessarily be, which will be owned by investors, and investors don't want to own your business. Okay, and I'll give you some examples of how mature investors will actually pass equity to you more, because they'll rather have you grow the value of the company higher than be bothered so much about how much equity they own. Yeah, they will want to hold a certain minimum to make sure that company law gives them the rights to have certain controls on you, but they will not want to own too much. If they end up owning too much in a business, they would rather not invest, yeah, than to actually take too much equity. Yeah. Also, very capex heavy businesses are not necessarily fundable. So if you're going to say I'm raising 7.5 crores and 6 crores of that is going towards buying one particular, start to wonder, why are you buying such a large thing? You know, why don't you rent it versus buying it? Yeah, so those questions come into play. And also, investors are a little shy of only services business. How many of you have only services business? Okay, cool. The next one is an interesting one, diverse assets. If you have, I think somewhere I said beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Yeah, and it's a very important thing to know. At the end of the day, whoever is ultimately going to acquire your business, they need to see that the various assets in the company are aligned towards their objective. So I'll give you an example of a company that I put money into maybe about 15 years ago, and for about 5 years I gave the money to a friend of mine as a loan, and he used it for his business, and his business was doing well, and he came back to me, sir, I'm returning your 30 lakhs. And I said, what have you done in the business? And he showed me, and the stuff he had done was very good, actually. He was, his business was outsourced product development. Okay, so he would create products for other people. Given their specs, he would create the products or maintain them and so on and so forth. That was his business. But this person, this is a software company based out of the city of Nagpur. So this person had 4 assets in the company. One was a building that they owned. It was in an MIDC area, Industrial Development Corporation area, and so they owned the building. Second was the OPD business itself, where they had about 30-40 different customers spread across the world, and PeopleSoft and many other well-known product companies had actually outsourced their development to this company. So they had a bunch of contracts, yeah, which they were delivering. Third was a school management software company. Yeah. Fourth was MRO, maintenance, repair and overhaul of complex assets like an aircraft. Okay. All these are assets. Now, which one entity is going to buy this? Will Infosys will be interested in buying such a company? They will say, yeah, but I know I'm happy to take the OPD business, but I don't need the building. I'll create my own building. I don't need the school management software. I'm not in the product selling business. I don't need the MRO. So it was very difficult. So I had to actually break up the company into 4 parts and do slump sale of each of these. So I sold the building to an infrastructure company, sold the school management software to NIIT, sold the, we are still holding on to MRO, and we sold the OPD business to Persistent. Okay, so if you have complex and diverse assets, it's not a good thing. You need to have at least some alignment of the various assets that you're creating. And obviously, like I said, not having enough or decent amount of exit options is something which again discourages people to look at your business. If you're not clear, I don't know where my exit is going to come from, for example, is not a great idea. I mean, you want to tell the person that I'm taking money from you, giving equity. Some stage, I'm going to return this money back to you. Yeah, either you'll do a buyout of the investors or you'll find an outside investor.